In this video, we're going to examine a more detailed view of the starter and solenoid, and we're going to compare it to the schematic that we looked at in the last video and the picture of the starter up here in the top right, and we'll look at and identify the same components we were talking about in the last video so that we could have a better understanding of how they interact with each other and what's needed for the starter to operate. So our detailed view of the starter here is the same picture with more detail as this starter, solenoid, and motor from the schematic. And then right here we have the motor part of the starter and we have the solenoid part of the starter as well. So first let's identify the terminals. The B terminal on the starter itself is this top one here where the battery cable would normally connect. The positive battery cable would connect right to this terminal and it would be hot at all times. There would be power there, 12 volts. So the B terminal coincides with the B terminal here on the schematic and the B terminal here on the detailed view. When we turn the key to the start position, what we're doing is we're powering up these two coils. And the two coils here, their job is to pull this lever, the starter fork, and complete the path for the switch. So when we make the magnetic field that energizes these two coils, we have the hold-in coil and the pull-in coil. We're actually pulling a rod in this direction, and it's going to move the shifter fork and close this switch. Now, looking at the starter itself, the coils would be located in this section here. And the coils are just a lot of wrapped wire around an iron core so that it can make an electromagnet like you used to do in school, wrapping a wire around a nail and connecting it to a battery. And the switch part here, while this looks in the picture just like a regular toggle switch, we actually have a switch located in this end of the solenoid. So when that plunger moves over, it actually pushes a contact plate up against the B terminal and the M terminal on the inside so that it connects the B terminal and the M terminal together to allow power to get down to the motor so that the motor can spin. And once this switch moves over, like we said in the last video, we would then have 12 volts on both sides of the pull-in coil, which would then make that one be inactive. But since there's a ground for the hold-in coil, this one would stay active as long as you're holding the key to the start position, and it would also keep the switch closed, which allows the motor to operate. And as soon as you release the key back to the on position, the magnetic field will release, and this return spring here wrapped around the solenoid plunger will help push the starter fork back so that it can release the starter drive from the flywheel.